So, hallo zusammen. Mein heutiger Gast ist Jura Glo und ich freue mich mega, dass Jura da ist. Und Jura ist Workshopleiterin und Personal Coach für Intimität, Ehrlichkeit, darüber sprechen wir heute, und Sexualität. Und sie ist ebenso Gründerin der größten Radical Honesty Community in Europa. Und was ist radikale Ehrlichkeit und warum ist radikale Ehrlichkeit so wichtig? Radikale Ehrlichkeit bedeutet letztendlich, sich klar und bewusst darüber zu werden, was meine Gedanken, meine Gefühle und meine wirkliche Absicht sind und wie ich diese äußern kann. Und das klingt jetzt erstmal so, ist ja total einfach, macht ja jeder und kann man ja, also ich sage immer das, was ich denke. Aber in den seltensten Fällen können wir wirklich ehrlich sein. Und was das bedeutet, habe ich auch schon selbst erfahren in der Arbeit mit Jura. Ich habe sowohl in der Einzelarbeit mit ihr gearbeitet, als auch in der Gruppe. Und was ich an Jura sehr schätze, ist, sie ist sehr präzise, sie ist richtig scharf. Also scharf, indem sie streng auch ist, aber sie ist sehr, sehr liebevoll darin. Und meine Erfahrung mit Radical Honesty, also radikale Ehrlichkeit auf Deutsch, ist ein tiefes Gefühl von Zufriedenheit in mir und Wohlwollen mir selbst gegenüber und ein tiefes Gefühl von Annahme. Jura spricht überwiegend Englisch. Sie kommt aus Litauen. Sie lebt auch in Litauen und ist aber derzeit, also sie lebt in Litauen und arbeitet in Berlin, ist ein bisschen kompliziert. Sie switcht immer hin und her und ist augenblicklich allerdings in Berlin, da sie auch international arbeitet, also normalerweise auch viel reist. Und wie gesagt, Jura spricht Englisch, so ich werde heute mit ihr das Interview in Englisch führen. Ich hoffe, mich verlässt mein Englisch nicht. Und ich hoffe, ihr kommt alle gut mit. Ich versuche, we try to speak slowly in English today. So I will introduce, or I welcome you very much, Jura, that you are here today. And I would like to ask you to just introduce yourself quickly or talk about yourself, what you're doing, how are you, and where are you, and what would you like to say to the audience?
Thank you, Kate, for introducing me that way. I've learned German since I was 12 years old, and so I feel like I'm a spy. I can understand a lot, and I have very poor speaking skills, and therefore I shy away from speaking German oftentimes. I think in relation to what you said about radical honesty, then I want to start introducing myself from where I started with radical honesty. So I moved to Berlin in 2012, and I just finished my bachelor's degree, and I was absolutely furious about Lithuanian education system after I did my exchange program in Cologne just a year before. I was furious. I received my bachelor's, and 3 days after I was on the bus to Berlin looking for a better life because I didn't think that I can live better life in Lithuania. I also was not aware how angry I was at the people in my life in Lithuania. So I took what in that moment seemed to be a powerful move, but didn't really help with the helplessness that I felt when I was back in Lithuania years after. So I didn't know anything better. So I enrolled myself into university and I found myself an office job, like a good student that I am, and trying to live the Lithuanian American dream of having a career, having a degree, and planning future, making babies, having a husband, and living the normal life. Until when I came to Berlin, I was amazed to see how many people are very different. So there are all kinds of people that just doing their thing. They wear whatever they want to wear. They act in places whatever they want to act. They do what they do, and they live the life that they want. And I was sort of curious to see, am I allowed and is it possible for me to live the life that I want? And when I checked with myself, I didn't really know any other possible life for me than the one that has been designed for me by my family and culture, which being a
Sure.
student. Well, then I started to explore. Like I spent every day outside, just walking around, looking at people, talking to people. I talked with so many homeless people because I just couldn't get it. How come you're a young, healthy individual and you're homeless? Because in Lithuania, the only homeless people were older, like old women who pension age, who couldn't really afford nor to work nor to make a living. Anyway, that led into waking up one morning. I felt my body. I had this like cloud above my head where I thought I could see my thoughts, and I couldn't hide anymore the fact that I'm studying and doing this work and looking for things just like an excuse. It's one big lie. I don't really want to study. I'm studying just because I want my parents to be proud. I'm doing this job because I want my sisters to think I'm like, I'm doing as they're doing. They're corporate people, and I thought I need to be a corporate person too. And I just couldn't hide anymore the fact that I'm living a lie. I'm lying. I was lying from the moment on. And when I was in Berlin, I just realized how much, and I couldn't continue anymore. So, as crazy that I am, I quit my job and I quit the studies, and I was crying in my friend's room and being like, dude, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to live a life when nobody's telling me what to do. And he just sort of suggested, he said, well, you're very good with people. You're very honest. How about you just start Radical Honesty in Berlin? And then I thought that this is just a combination of two words. It's a kind of honesty. Radical, the total, because I was angry, I was like, yeah, radical. And then I started blogging about it, about what it is like to be honest. And I didn't really know anything about it, so I was just speculating. And then my friend, he sent me the book of Radical Honesty. I read the book, I felt extremely jealous and disappointed that this is not my thing. And I was already wanting to be more knowing and more honest. So I hitchhiked to Greece. There was a workshop. I hitchhiked to Greece to a workshop with the founder, Brad Blanton. I spent 7 days with people practicing or learning radical honesty. I didn't get much out of it. I just was sitting there and was trying to get what is going on? Why are we doing this? What's the point of this? I just didn't get it because I was trying to understand it with my mind. After the workshop, the same day, there were people, the other participants, where we're having some sort of shallow conversation. I was like, they were talking about something, and in my mind I was like, oh, what a shallow conversation. I said something, and they looked at me and he said, repeat this 3 more times. Like, just repeat it. And I was like, oh, idiots, thinking to myself. And then I said it. I still remember the sentence. I said, I don't want to bother you. I don't want to bother you. I don't want to bother you. And on the 3rd time, I had this like, wow, I started crying about the phrase. And that's when I realized what radical honesty is really about. That when I tell the truth and I don't try to rationalize or try to understand it or try to play a game, when I really say something that moves me, my whole body moves. And then I had this wave of sadness and then wave of gratitude and appreciation. I was looking at them and I was really loving them in that moment. And I really
get goosebumps now.
Yeah, I realized that radical honesty, it's not really about understanding it. It's not about figuring out how to be honest. It's not about making more rules of how to be a better person and be honest. There's nothing morally good about being honest. It's just the practical aspect of it that when I tell the truth, my body moves. I feel more alive. When my body moves, people bodies around me move too. When I speak the truth that moves me, people around me move too. When I show myself honest, people around me show themselves honest. It's really so simple, but it took me, it took me 6 months to read the books, watch the videos, go to the workshop in 6 months. It took me 7 days being in a workshop, doing the exercises and watching trainers work and like talking to people. And I still didn't get to the dumbest idea of what radical honesty is, which is sitting on my butt and experiencing my experience, witnessing how my body is moving, my heart is beating, my eyes are blinking, I'm seeing things around me, there are things going on inside my body, and there are thoughts happening.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? Because it's, for me, it's so important, and I don't want that it's just passing away what you just said. Yeah. I think, well, for me, the experience first time, I still can learn more about it or practice it more. But for me, the first time when I really had the feeling, okay, I'm really honest now for myself or to myself, it's like really feeling like there's a weight, a ton of rocks and stones just falling from my shoulders. And I realized, I always thought, well, I'm honest. I'm honest because I'm telling my truth. But what is my truth? My truth is my thought about it, my moral thing or my concepts or whatever. But this is not my truth. This is just something I learned in my past from my parents, from school, whatever. And I'm like, how do you say, addicted or connected so much to these concepts that I'm thinking this is mine. And I understand, well, I feel about radical honesty is something what is just lying under all this. It's my essence. It's who I'm really, really are. And like you just said, you felt like, wow, my body is moving. I feel more alive because you're like yourself. And this is so important. And for me, this is so important to get to know people about it, because in these times there is such a big chance to look to ourselves because we have more time. What do you think about that?
I agree. And I also want to add from the very, this is the way I like to explain of honesty or radical honesty from the very beginning in the workshop, is that when we are born, when we're babies, we are absolutely honest. There's no question about it. And our bodies are all the time honest. As I'm sitting here, my body, me, the physical body, is constantly reacting to the air quality, the temperature. I put this water inside of my body. I react. I either feel more thirsty or hungry. There's my bladder. I feel pressure in my bladder, which I want to pee. So there's like, if I pinch myself, I respond, I react. So the body is always honest. How we develop the level of dishonesty is by developing a mind. And
what do you mean by that?
Yes. So when we grow up, while we are growing up, we have the surroundings, right? Which we call parents or caregivers, siblings that are talking to us. And we as little creatures, as we're developing physically, we also are developing mentally. And we get all kinds of ideas from our surroundings and by responses. So when I am dropping a glass off the table and there's an angry mother looks at me and says in this angry tone of voice, "What have you done?" As a tiny toddler, I contract and then I think I did something wrong. Something is up there. So the same way we have developed to adjust, to survive to our surroundings and to agree with the concepts and ideas of our culture and the parents in order to, get food, not to be punished, to appear to be agreeable so that we could survive, to be a good student. My strategy was to be a good student, to get love and appreciation from the big people. And that the more we have developed those strategies, the less we have developed the awareness of what is really that I want to do. What is it that I'm feeling right now? When I'm crying and my parent says, "Don't cry, go take care of yourself, you're just being too sensitive." As a little child, I cannot think that my parent is doing something wrong. I'm thinking that I'm doing something wrong, and I need to take care of myself. So these kind of habitual, perpetual training, how to be, well-adjusted, functional human being in the culture or within the family, is what created the disconnection or the distance between my actual bodily my sensual experience and my idea of who I supposed to be and who I am. And I think it's like, I'm a coach. This is how a coach should behave. Or you're a teacher. This is what a teacher should behave.
It's playing a role.
Exactly. Yeah. Those roles that we have developed, we are paying more attention to the roles and to the ideas of how we should be rather than to actual physical experience of how I'm actually feeling.
But I think we are doing this because we want to belong to a group, to people. We are so afraid of being separate or separated. So how can we learn? I mean, it's really I don't know the word. It's a balance between being honest and being sure to stay connected to the rest. So how can we handle this two parts?
Yeah, so this is the beauty of radical honesty, which I didn't get for many years. Even when I was practicing, I would get into the loop of my thinking, and I was still more identified with my thoughts until I noticed that it's a little bit like practicing meditation. With the more you meditation practice, the more you just practice sitting and drawing your awareness inwards, the more you notice that as you're washing dishes, you might notice that, oh, here I am washing dishes. Or as you're driving a car, it's like, oh, here I am driving a car. Because usually you drive from point A to point B and you don't even know how you got there because you were not paying attention. But suddenly you start paying more attention to what's here and now. So the same with radical honesty. We practice noticing of what is. And we for practical reasons, everything that we can notice here and now, we classify in 3 categories. I'm training my attention to be aware of everything that's happening inside of my body, physical sensations, like pressure in my bladder, or sweat in my palms, or my mouth and my tongue. Like very simple, dumbest, insignificant, not important physical sensations, just to notice that I'm alive. And then the other category, everything that I perceive outside of me. So mostly visuals, like seeing your face without the story of who you are, who I think you are, who I think you should be, what I think that you feel, what I think that you think, and what I think what kind of person you are, and what I think that we're doing here, that you're trying to do. Just like see your face as a human being, like color of your hair, face, flesh, and also be aware of my thoughts, evaluations, judgments, comparisons, past events, future projections, everything that is not here and not right now. And the practice of radical honesty is to spend more time training your attention like a flashlight to go between the body sensations, the outside world, noticing the thoughts, and speaking them out loud. Oh, actually, I think my computer just died.
Okay, you are here again? You're back. Okay, that's great. That's great. And you hear so much right now about being aware, practice mindfulness, and this, and meditation. And why do you think people should practice in radical honesty, really?
Despite the fact that it's very practical in communication and relationship to people, that it's much more practical than saying, when I heard you say this, I felt this and this, and this is what I thought. And I make the meaning that you don't respect me, rather than saying something happened, you go like, you just don't respect me, and you never listen to me, and this is,
yeah.
It's much more practical to stick with the percepts rather than concepts, if you're invested to actually experience the hurt, the anger, the joy, the love, the appreciation, and get over it for your own sake, so that you would be alive here and now, perceiving reality as it is, welcoming people as they are.
So we don't project so much more on other people. Yeah. So just to repeat it, because this is another very important thing. It's about get to know and feel the feelings you're feeling. And instead of just judging people, you're hurting me, you should not say this to me, instead of just staying there, breathing, feeling what's there.
Well, no, that's the thing about radical honesty. It's a little bit like being like little children. But instead of,
yeah, right.
It's like, but instead of, communicating your thoughts as the God's given truth, you're just, don't respect me. What are you doing there?
Okay, you just let it out.
The difference is that you do say that these are your thoughts, that these are your concepts, and you do say that this is how you feel, and you do say what you saw that evoked all this experience. Just like an open window has a breeze of air and oxygen, and I take a deep breath. So the same with somebody leaves socks on the floor for the 5th day in a row, it has the same effect, but I don't declare it as there's something, that there's some truth about what I'm thinking. There's just what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling about it. And there's also something that is very unusual in radical honesty, is that we commit to get over our resentments, our anger, just like we commit to get over our appreciations and love.
What I would find interesting now is to make an example, maybe. I have there is a person I'm working with in coaching for a while now, and she has the problem that her husband is never cleaning up. He just puts his stuff on the floor, and she's like so angry about it, and she's telling him, could you please lift up your clothes, put it to the dirty clothes and keep it clean here, please. And he said, oh, sorry, baby, sorry, I just forgot, I do it the next time. And she's just like so angry about it. Tell me how you would do it with radical honesty.
Well, first of all, when she appears to be such a sweet person and says, please, sweetheart, pick up your socks, or please, sweetheart, pick up your socks, it's neither of these two are requests. These are demands. She's demanding, and she's not acknowledging, and she's not making it clear that it's either this or nothing. You have to do it. In order to make me happy, you have to come and pick up your socks. Otherwise, I'll be angry. So there's one thing, about the clarity of communication, right? That most people are not really clear about their boundaries, real desires.
Very important. Not many people are very clear about their boundaries and desires. Yeah.
And then the other thing is whether you can make an agreement with your husband. If you truly allowed your husband to do what they want, if you truly agree that whatever your husband does, that your happiness does not depend on what your husband does, and you would make a request with him, and he would say and ask him, hey, would you be willing to pick up your socks each day at 5 p.m., would you be willing to come and check it, you know, by the end of the day? Would you be willing just to go into the room and check whether you picked up your socks? Like set a timer or something? And maybe he will say no. Maybe he didn't want to go and pick up his socks from the very beginning. And he didn't want to make you upset. So he just, you know, he would say, yeah, sure, I'm going to do it next time. That's not an agreement. That's sort of like, I'm trying to take care of you here by promising you to give what you want. The way to go around it is when she's angry, you need to get over the anger before you make any kind of agreements. So if she sees the socks and she feels angry, she goes to the husband and say, I resent you for leaving the socks. I resent you for how many times you left the socks. And she feels the anger. And it's very important because most of the time we tend to, when we're angry, we just tend to throw words in the air, expecting that the other person will just receive it because they have to, of course. It's very different when you meet the person, direct your message directly at the person. You are in contact with this person and you say, I resent you and I'm mad at you for leaving those socks. And you feel your body and you notice what other thoughts are coming. Is maybe there is something else that you're in. Like, I'm mad at you for how many times you said you forgot about it. And you feel your anger. And the trick is that when you feel your anger, when you stay with your sensations and you let your thoughts, you know, go through as they go, your anger goes away. Some other kind of experience arises. So this is the art of getting over anger. And then once you are over your anger and you can think of, and your well-being does not depend on your husband's actions, then you can make agreements so that your husband is not just agreeing with you because he needs to take care of you, but he truly wants to pick up his socks.
Thank you so much. This is so important for me. I mean, for the world, and especially in these times right now. What do you think? I mean, many of us are isolated right now, stuck with their own beings and everything. And I see a big chance in this because we have this time now. Is there something you would like to request or give the people for the time now?
Yeah. So I mentioned that there's one thing, which is the functional communication that radical honesty gives, but it also gives better health, more energy, better sense experience. So if you're quarantined with your lover and you have a cleanup conversation before bed, for example, you're probably gonna have more sense experience. You both would be more attuned to your touch, smell, sight, hearing, and you could have very nice love making. What else? Also, if you're alone, like I am quarantined on my own, I'm alone. And although the very first weeks I spent every day talking to people on my camera, on my devices, there are times when I didn't want to talk to people. And I had these thoughts about my finances, and I was very stressed and sad and scared. And the skill that I gained with radical honesty, just like a skill with meditation as well, I was just sitting there and feeling my body. And I was letting myself to be absolutely completely sad. And I was letting myself be absolutely completely scared. What will be? What if? And I was absolutely angry about the system and about the virus and about that I am in this conundrum right now. And I was like feeling the sensations in my body that I call anger. And when I allow myself to feel those sensations, when I allow myself to have those thoughts, then they come and go.
It's always changing.
Exactly. I felt sad, then I felt angry, then I felt happy, then I felt scared, then I felt sad, and then I felt angry, then I felt, it's just like I was just sitting there until I wanted to go to pee. I went to the toilet. I was like, I think I'm hungry. Then I ate. And I was like, I would like to watch Netflix now. Then I watched Netflix. So it's like moment by moment, there was no problem anymore because I allowed my body to take care of me in that way.
Instead of sitting there thinking, it would be so nice if I could go outside and meet people and do this and go in a cafe and do this and do this. That's the moment we start suffering, right?
Correct. And I, for example, like to sit and imagine myself outside. And I let myself experience the experience of being outside, like feel the warmth of my skin that I imagine I will get once I'm there. You know, I'm not there, but I can imagine that like I am, when I think of when I want something, I'm already experiencing in my body. There are some sensations in my body that are related to those thoughts. So I just let myself really fully be it. And sometimes when I want to have a lover, for example, and I don't have it, and this is the most common topic right now that I work with people in dating, they're just like desperately want someone where they want physical contact. And I was like, okay, you don't have it right now. So let yourself experience the wanting, feel the wanting, imagine yourself having it, and feel the pain of not having it. Feel the pain, contraction, and the sensations in your body that associate you with not having it. So it's basically just being in a constant permission to be as you are. And this is what I trained and what I got by doing radical honesty for myself in isolation.
Wow, I'm so glad to talk to you and that you had time. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Carrie.
And I will link your website later on the, I don't know the English word. Okay, I switch in German now.
Okay.
For the audience, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Trainiert die radikale Ehrlichkeit. Es ist so heilsam. Ich hoffe, ihr habt alles verstanden. Ihr habt, soweit es geht, alles verstanden. Ich verlinke die Jura jetzt in dem Abspann. Ihr findet dort die Homepage und bleibt dran. Ich selber tue es auch und ich finde es so wertvoll, ihre Arbeit, und schnuppert gerne mal auf ihrer Homepage. Sie bietet auch Zoom-Online-Gespräche an für echt einen guten Preis. Und ja, Jura. Thank you again.
You're very welcome.
Bye bye.
Bye.